So tonight I wanted to talk about building resistance or resilience, I should say, in our toxic world. We all know how toxic our world has become and seems like it's getting more and more toxic, although there's some good news with some of the things that are changing these days in our environment and some of the new rules that Bobby Kennedy has put into place for exciting news this weekend. Cheetos and Doritos will no longer have toxic red dye or any of the toxic foods, so people will be able to get a healthy version of Doritos and Cheetos. So we're making headway, right? So I want to talk a little bit about some of the toxin things, but also how it relates to our emotions and our stress. So it's kind of packed full of a couple of different things here. And hopefully, it'll make sense to everybody as well. All right. So, why do we need resilience in today's day and age anyway? Well, we live in a world where, for the first time in our human history, we have had the most toxic era in history. We have over 80,000 chemicals in circulation today, most which have never been tested for safety and quality with humans. And many of them, or I could reach out there and say probably none of them, have been tested together, where we're using, say, a Roundup and a bleach together. Just for instance, we wouldn't do that together, but you know what I'm talking about. But these chemicals that are in our homes today aren't being tested together. The Febreze and the Lysol with all the smells, those chemicals aren't being tested together. And so we don't know what kind of toxins that's actually creating for us, and we don't know what it's doing to our bodies. Exactly. We kind of do. We can see the effects of it, but there's not any research behind it. And then we add EMFs, which are the electromagnetic fields, and increasing with 5G and the Wi-Fi and the smart meters and all of these different things that are around our cities these days with the towers that make our phones supposedly work better, and all of our electronic devices working better. But we really haven't studied what the effects of EMF are doing to us. We're just starting to now see some events, some research come to publication, but it's not yet mainstream. Not very many people are aware of the damage that it's doing to our trees and some of our cellular components. In the alternative world, yes, we understand that more so in the conventional world, but in the conventional medicine world, there's not very many people that understand what EMFs are doing. And then when we combine the EMFs with the chemicals, we don't understand exactly what's happening there. It's not good, we know that, but we don't understand exactly what it's doing to our cell structure, our mitochondria, or our immune system. So I think it's really important for us to talk about this. We also don't talk much about what chronic stress does, and stress being at an all-time high, and most of us under some form of stress, emotional or physical stressor, every single day, 24/7, 365 days a year. There's some level of stress, and we've not lived in an era yet where our bodies have been under that kind of stress, including the chemicals that we get exposed to. That's considered a stressor as well. So our bodies are really overwhelmed. They're not broken, and that's a good thing, but they are signaling us, and they're signaling us messages that sometimes we listen to, sometimes we don't, sometimes we hear, sometimes we don't. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about how we can listen and what are some of the things that we can do to make our environment safer. So we're going to talk about this chemical environmental toxin exposure, EMF, emotional and nervous stressors. We're going to talk about how we can stack our resilience, the Root Rise Restore program that I've created, the lifestyle upgrades, supplements. Can they actually help, or do they do more harm? And then looking at some different tools that we can use to create a resilient home and a resilient body. So, when we talk about chemical stressors, what we're talking about is food additives, dyes, all of the things in our food that we can't pronounce, right? Those are our additives. Pesticides and herbicides that are sprayed on everything commercial. So, unless you're getting organic, and even with organic, you're still getting some. They're allowed to use a certain percentage of pesticides and herbicide on the food. They're just not allowed to use the amount that a commercial grower would be able to use. We know about the issues with plastics, the BPA and the phthalates. We're starting to see more of the microplastics that we're getting exposed to and that being in our bodies. It's very difficult for us to test and measure some of that. There is a test that we can do called a GPL tox that can tell us if we have a lot of this BPA and phthalates and herbicides and pesticides in our body, and if we're not excreting it very well. We certainly have high levels of heavy metals that we're exposed to, groundwater contamination, air contamination. Some of our vaccines have heavy metals in them. And these things are everywhere. We have contaminated water. It doesn't matter if you're on a well or if you're on a city system. All of our water is contaminated at this point. For those of us who live in the Milwaukee area, it's really not a good thing when our water outshoot is right next to the inflow. So you've got shit flowing out into the water, and right next to it, you have clean water coming in. That doesn't mix well. Really hard to have clean water coming in there. We've got tons and tons of chemicals in our fragrances and our personal care products. So all the things that we wash our body with, we put on our hair to make it look beautiful, the lotions, all of that is loaded with chemicals. And so we need to have clean products. Even our cleaning supplies, ultimately it's best if we can use natural cleaning supplies, baking soda, water, those kinds of things. All of these Lysol products that kill everything are really not good. If they're killing germs, what are they doing to us? But we use them and we use thousands of them every day without even thinking about it. So it is really everywhere, and we need to take a look at that and clean that up at this point. So, what do these chemicals actually do to our body in the first place? Well, many of these chemicals are what we call endocrine disruptors. They disrupt our hormones. They make us estrogen dominant. They create cortisol imbalance. And even for our men, it creates a lot of estrogen in the body. And for men, it presents a little differently than women. Men will start to get more man boobs when they're exposed to all of this estrogen. For women, it completely disrupts the estrogen cycle, giving us weight gain around the midsection, irritability, moodiness. We see increased risk of estrogen-derived cancers, more so with these environmental estrogens than any of the estrogens that we would give you in menopause. It is these environmental estrogens that are truly the problem. These chemicals also increase inflammation. They slow our detox pathways down, so we're not able to eliminate the toxins as well. They're known to damage the mitochondria. They affect our sleep, our mood, and our immune function. So they are disrupting every part of our bodies that we need to heal and repair and restore on a daily basis. This is a busy slide. Sorry about that. So this is EMF. So EMF is electromagnetic field. It's an invisible energy wave created by an electrical power and wireless communication technology. So this is our Wi-Fi, our cell phones, the Bluetooths, all of those things that run on something that doesn't have to be plugged in. That's EMF. And there are some naturally occurring EMFs around us, like the sunlight, and the earth has its own magnetic field and lighting, while others are more man-made and they're from our modern devices. And so you can get EMF off of your household wiring, your appliances, your outlets, all of those things release a form of EMF. If you've ever had what's called a Stetzer meter or an EMF reader, you can actually go up and you can read how much EMF is around your computer or turning on your microwave and testing it and seeing how high the EMF level is. And if you measure those things, you can see how terrible the EMF is that comes off of things. And then there are things that we can do about it. We can use Stetzer meters to help reduce that electricity and that EMF, and certainly using more hardwired instead of Wi-Fi. Like your Wi-Fi printer exerts so much EMF, it's crazy. It's over 1,000 times normal what we should have. So just sitting at your computer all day is exposing you to more EMF than you should be getting in a month's time. And we spend tons of time in front of our computers and our printers and our speakers, and all of those things. So it's really important to make sure you have as much of that hardwired as possible. Your Bluetooth on your phone. So when you wear your earbuds, very, very high amount of EMF. Some of them are as high as 600.
Mhm.
And that is sitting directly next to the brain. And there are studies that show that that has increased the risk of brain cancer by us using all of those earbuds so much and having our cell phones next to our ears for such a period of time. So when you have your cell phone, as much as possible, use it on the speaker so you don't have to have the phone directly to your head, and try to voice to text instead of always texting with your fingers. That helps a little bit. I think some of the things that are less known frequently are our baby monitors. And think about this: you have a little bitty brand new baby, you put the baby monitor right next to their bed, and it's emitting about 400 to 600 nanometers of EMF, which is really, really high. There should be less than like 50. And so you're already exposing that newborn baby to a ton of EMF while their cells are trying to grow and do what they're supposed to. We're already disrupting them. And we know EMF actually disrupts the way the cell structure is made up. So it can create a lot of problems. We blame all the 5G towers, but there's a lot of things in our environment that we do have control over that we can fix versus this 5G tower that we have no control over where they put them. Um, so why do EMFs matter anyway? EMFs don't necessarily poison the body the way chemicals do. Instead, they disrupt the electrical and cellular signaling system in our body, which we rely on for healing. That's why grounding is so important, so that you get that electrical energy from the earth and you come up and heal your body versus all of this external EMF coming at us. Um, I talked a little bit about EMF interfering with our mitochondria, our cell structure. It also increases oxidative stress. It disrupts our melatonin production, so it affects our sleep. It irritates the nervous system. It affects the blood-brain barrier, increases symptoms like headaches, heart palpitations, anxiety, and even fatigue it can cause. So our emotional and nervous system has stressors as well. And this is our chronic emotional stress that acts like a toxin as well. So when we're under a lot of emotional stress, our bodies go into that fight or flight response, and it gets stuck on the on position, which then ultimately raises our inflammation. It alters our hormones and again reduces our immune function. So, just like the external chemicals and toxins, the things they do to our body, that emotional stress in our nervous system gets disrupted the same way from our emotions. And we don't talk about that a lot, but that chronic trauma and stress that happens to us really does physically affect our body in the same way that toxins do. So, what does our resilient stack look like? Well, this is a collection of daily practices that's going to help your body neutralize its toxins, regulate the nervous system, and improve the energy and mitochondrial function. Everything that has to do with aging and chronic illness starts with the mitochondria, big word for cell structure. If you don't have good cell structure to start with, you're not going to be able to repair and improve the body's system as a whole. And we're not going to be able to repair our energy cycle. It's going to be lost in there. So the Root Rise Restore program, it's a framework we've done in Serenity for decades. It's just something we put a name to at this point. So in the root phase, that's your early beginning phase. This is where we need to find the root cause, remove the triggers, the infections, the viruses, the bacteria, the mold, the cortisol level, all of those things, find the hormonal disruption. And then we need to strengthen and build the foundation. So we need to get the gut working well. We need to start rebuilding resilience in the immune system, eliminate all the toxins that you're being exposed to, start to clean those things out. And then once we start getting that system become more efficient, then we can move into what's called the rise phase. And this is where we can start building energy, really restoring the hormones and getting them in a good place, rebuilding that mitochondria, getting that mitochondria to work and function at its highest possible level so that you can start having that energy back and really feeling better about yourself and feeling better in what you're doing. And then once we've got those things pretty well tied up, then we're going to move to the restore and regenerate phase. And in the restore phase, we're regenerating tissues. We're assisting in that deep emotional healing. We're eliminating those traumas, working on those traumas, rebuilding that muscle if we need to, or the tendons that have been disrupted. This is where we bring in things like peptides, and we bring in exosomes, things like that, to really restore that body. We'll do a little bit of that and sprinkle a little bit of that around in the root and rise phase, but this is where we really want to bring those biologics into play so that they can really rejuvenate the body and restore all of that damage that's occurred because of what you've been exposed to. There are some lifestyle foundations that this is the basics. If we do this right, your basics are going to help us restore everything else. So you really want to surround yourself with supportive relationships that can reduce your stress level, not increase your stress level. I know it's going to be really hard during the holidays. We have to see family members we may not like. That's a given, but the rest of the time that we don't have to be around the family we don't like, we want to give ourselves relationships that lift us up instead of bringing us down. We really want to boost that resilience, foster that emotional health. So good, healthy, clean water, filtered water, hydration. You want to do daily sweating. Sauna and exercise are my two favorites. Sauna is really my favorite because that is like exercise. When you're in the sauna, you can burn as many calories as a 40-minute walk. Some studies show that you can burn up to 300 calories sitting in the sauna for a half an hour. So you can sweat, get your toxins out, and get your exercise in. So I love daily sweating. And then consistent sleep rhythms. I hope you guys like this little picture of the cat. They sleep so well, but we need to keep our sleep as a priority. Really make a sanctuary for ourselves so that sleep is a priority. We're getting that good restorative sleep. We're getting that deep REM sleep. That's really important for us. And then sunlight and grounding. So very important for us to have exposure to the sunlight. For those of us here in the north, we know we're going into the time frame where we're probably not going to see sun for a couple of days or at least a week on end for some times with the cloud cover and the snow coming and the cold weather. But the more we can get good sunlight, or if you can't get real sunlight, get the natural lights in your lighting things so that you can get those, or red light exposure so that you can continue to heal your mitochondria. And then grounding is so important. Just going outside, putting your feet on the ground for a little bit, and earthing. If obviously we're not going to be doing that when it's 20 below and there's 2 feet of snow out here. And I'm not hoping for that this winter, but if it happens, it's going to be there. But there are grounding mats that you can get, that you can do that practice throughout the day. There's grounding blankets, there's grounding sheets that you can get that really help your body stay grounded so that you don't have to do another task. You just crawl into bed, your sheets are grounded, your blanket's grounded. Some of those grounding blankets also have some EMF blockers in them. So when you're sitting at your computer, you can put the blanket over your lap, cover your organs as much as possible so you're blocking that EMF off of yourself. If you don't have anything else to ground in front of you, that can be extremely helpful too. And then we're looking at the nervous system tools. So the vagus nerve support is so important. And there are a couple of things that you can do, certainly on your own. You can do humming, you can do cold exposure, like a cold plunge in the shower or a cold bath. Um, Gargling works really well. Singing is really good. If you don't like to do any of those kinds of things, one of my favorite devices is called a Gamma Core. It's ordered by a practitioner. It's a vagus nerve stimulator. If you're a migraine sufferer, Gamma Core, hands down, has been amazing for our migraine people. It's a little handheld device. You rub it along the side of your neck, 2 minutes on each side, once a day. Or if you get migraines, you can do it when you have a migraine. It has been a game changer. Like, I've had people that have been able to get off their migraine medications using this device. There's also some other devices too that you can use that are a little less expensive than the Gamma Core, but the Gamma Core is FDA approved. Truvaga is another one that we recommend. It's a little bit less expensive than the Gamma Core and can work really, really well. There's certainly breath work, your deep breathing, your somatic breathing, that release of breath work. There are some different programs that you can do with people with breath work, works amazing. I'll give you a little cheat. YouTube has a ton of these videos that you can do for free online. You can just hop on, do it with them, and it works great. Somatic release and trauma-informed practices. This is another one I don't think we pay enough attention to, is this trauma that's happened to us from when we were children, whether it was a household that we grew up in that had some trauma to it, whether it's an accident that you were in or an episode that happened to you at school. We forget that those traumas deep seed into our cells. And when they deep seed into our cells, we may forget them, but our cells never forget the trauma. And until you work through some of that trauma, those traumatic situations can actually be what's causing you to be ill, or at least preventing you from restoring your body 100%. So I always think it's really important to do some kind of trauma work, even if you don't think you've had trauma. We've all had some level of trauma in our lives, unfortunately. Acupuncture and cranial sacral therapy, two of my favorite things. I absolutely love cranial sacral therapy. It's a way to unwind that trauma in the cells in the body without having to relive the experience. It's somewhat like massage, but a little bit different. It's a very light touch, and your body just kind of starts to swirl and move and unwind and go into different directions, but it can be extremely healing. Um, and then definitely a low EMF bedtime routine. That is key. It's where you spend a lot of your time next to, bedtime or computer work if you're at the office. Those are the two areas you spend the majority of your time during the day. So you want to make sure that those are very clean and very safe, and they're acceptable for you to spend that much time there. So detox support is really important because of all those 80,000 chemicals in our environment and growing every single year. We need to remove them on a regular basis. So some easy things that you guys can do at home is some warm lemon water in the morning. Just take a cup of water, get it kind of warm, put a slice of lemon in there, drink that down. It's really great to get the liver moving in the morning. Dry brushing is really great. It helps move the lymph system. If you have a hard time dry brushing or the lymph system is still really congested, then using LET, lymph enhancement technique, is really helpful. It's a form of light therapy with ozone that we do here in the office that just helps move that lymph system and get that body draining and getting rid of the toxins a lot easier. Certainly, castor oil packs can work really well over the liver and the gallbladder. That can be helpful. Epsom salts baths are really great. If you can't get totally into the tub, then you can just soak your feet. That is the place that we detox the most from. Just soak your feet in a warm bucket of water with some Epsom salts in there. That works really great. And there's herbs that we can use as well. Milk thistle or silimar, and they're the same thing, can work beautifully. Now, don't take those if you have a ragweed allergy because they're from the same family and you might have a histamine reaction from them. And if you have that reaction, you could always use alpha lipoic acid. Turmeric can help. It's not one of my favorite detox products, but it actually can help really well. Dandelion works really well. You can make dandelion tea, harvest your dandelions as long as they're not sprayed with chemicals. Harvest them, make a tea out of it. It's a really nice, sweet tea that you can make. Or they make dandelion root in a capsule. And then my favorite product is called MCM Detox. It's made by Bio1 Sciences, and it is my favorite detox product because it has all of the ingredients that you need to detox, along with some binders in it, but it doesn't have to be taken away from anything. The binders that are in there can be taken with food, can be taken with other supplements, so we don't have to worry about them binding with charcoal and clay and some of those other things. But a daily regimen of some of this, it doesn't have to be all of this, some of this can really be helpful to start removing those toxins for you. And then some other supplements that I think are really great for building our resilience is for detox, we want to look at glutathione. Glutathione is a main amino acid. It's one of the main things that we need for detoxification. If you struggle making glutathione, and you would only know that if you had a genetic test done, then we'd want to give you straight glutathione. Or if there's a lot of toxins that we're dealing with, we'll give you straight glutathione. Otherwise, you could use NAC. It stands for N-acetylcysteine. That's the precursor to glutathione. So it'll help your body make glutathione so that your body can detox better. Milk thistle, we talked about dandelion, we talked about binders, we talked about a little bit, charcoal, chlorella, clay, aloe, fiber. Those are all different binders that you can use. You can use a combination of them, but don't put them all together because you really don't need all of them. You really only need one binder to start moving some of these toxins. And then for building the mitochondria, important key number one, CoQ10. You have to have CoQ10 on board to build the mitochondria. PQQ is another one that you want to have on board that builds the mitochondria. NAD plus is kind of a give, it's okay. It's not great. It can be expensive. It's really hard to absorb orally. So it's best taken either by injection or by nasal spray. That's the best way to absorb. It gets degraded a lot in the gut. So you just get expensive urine from that one if you take it orally. There are some sublingual tablets that they have of that works okay, but still best bet is going to be injection or nasal spray. And then magnesium glycinate or malate are really great for building that mitochondria as well. And then for our stress regulation, we want to use adaptogens. So these are herbs that help us. If our cortisol level gets too high, it brings it down. If it gets too low, it brings it up. So you want an adaptogen to kind of help you throughout the day as things are changing with your body. And these are things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil. There's a lot of adrenal formulas that are going to have all these adaptogens in it together, along with some magnesium usually. And really, pretty much any of those adrenal formulas are going to work really well for you. You just have to be careful if you have an adrenal formula that has a glandular in it, like a desiccated adrenal, or they'll say glandular adrenal. That's a stimulant. So if your cortisol is low, that one is fine for you. But if your cortisol is too high, you don't want a glandular in there, overstimulate that cortisol even more and make it higher. So you don't want to do that. Omega-3s are really important for that stress resilience and regulation. And minerals. Minerals are key to calming the body. So these are things like zinc, magnesium, your trace minerals, selenium. These things are going to help quiet the body down, relax the body a little bit. They're really great to take before bed, especially if you have a hard time quieting the mind. They'll help you calm down and get to sleep a little bit better. Or if you have a lot of anxiety, you can take them throughout the day to just calm the body down a little bit. Standard Process makes a product called Mintran that can be taken multiple times throughout the day for anxiety, and that works really well. So when we're looking at EMF protection tools, definitely turning your Wi-Fi off at night, giving yourself an EMF sleep sanctuary. So not even just turning off your Wi-Fi on your phone, you want to put that in airplane mode, but turn your modem off too, so that you get no EMF coming in to the bedroom. You want to look at where they put your computer box. I don't know exactly what they call it, but what your router is. You want to know where your router is, and you want that to be placed as far away from your bedroom as possible, or anyone's bedroom in your house as possible. It's really important too, like if you're building a house, you have control over this. If you're not building a house, you don't have much control. But where are your electrical panels? Are your electrical panels directly below your bed? Because that's going to give you a lot of electromagnetic field, and you don't want that exposure right there. You want it as far away from your bedroom as possible. Distancing and the protection from all of your devices. So if you're using your phone for your alarm, which most people do, your alarm will still go off if it's in airplane mode. You don't want this sitting right next to the head of your bed, because you're still getting a lot of that exposure. It's better with it on airplane mode, but you want it as far away from the bed as possible so you can still hear the alarm. And then using EMF filters like Stetzer meters in the house are really helpful. It blocks that dirty electricity. Putting your screens on blue light block. So at night, especially if you're going to be on the computer, make sure it goes to blue light. That'll help you not get that extra field and rev you up before bed. Ideally, we'd like you to have no screen time for an hour before bed. I know that's hard for a lot of us, but try not to. And then glasses like these have a blue light blocker on them. So they actually block the light that comes in from the computer, so that you're not getting that into your iris all the time. And it helps to reduce that field again. Our emotional resilience practices, we want you to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself like you would take care of your grandmother, right? Love and compassion. We're the hardest on ourselves, and we need to take time for ourselves. So, journaling is really great. Journal your feelings, get them out. Meditation or prayer. EFT tapping is really good. So that's just this internal tapping that people can do on the chest. They can also do it on the forehead. Again, YouTube has some great videos on tapping techniques. It's all free. Making sure we set boundaries. A lot of us are not good at setting boundaries. I know I'm terrible at it. I'll be the first one to say, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll be there. And then I'm like, oh, why did I do that? I have so much to get done and I stress myself out. So learning to say no, giving yourself permission to say no is really important. Reduce those toxic relationships. If you're in a relationship with somebody that's not serving you anymore, and every time you're around them, you don't like yourself or you don't like being there or you feel like your stress levels going up, just start to eliminate the relationship. You don't need that relationship around you, or you need to have some good conversations around with this person to set limits and make it easier for you. Sometimes our toxic relationships are relationships we are unable to get rid of. Sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a kid, sometimes it's our boss, who knows, and we have to try to work through it. But let's try working through it in a positive way. Building your spiritual support systems, whatever your spiritual practice is, you want to build a group of people around you that think like you do, that have the same type of feelings around things, that are really going to be there to support you. Building a community of people, kind of like this call. It started during the pandemic when we were all feeling isolated and we had no other place to go. And we started these calls so that everybody could have a place of being around people that thought like them, felt like them, and supported them. We all need community. So, building that community, if you don't have one, start building one. Start building a group of people that think like you. That's really important for us. And then reducing the toxins in the home, swapping things out. Use non-toxic cleaning products. There's lots of great products you can get on the market these days that are not toxic. They're not a ton more expensive than the actual ones that are full of chemicals. Many of them you can find at the regular grocery store these days. You don't even have to go to the health food stores anymore. So using those products and just finishing up what you have with one, swapping it out for a good product later. Reduce those fragrance exposures. Those fragrances are really terrible. I know they smell great, but the Glade plugins have so many toxins in them. You're better off burning essential oils, even candles. Candles are terrible for toxins, even though they smell beautiful. Go with more of a natural version so you're not burning those toxins in the house. Um, can make a big difference for us. Switching all of your stuff over to glass or steel containers. So all of your water goes into a steel container or a glass container instead of a plastic container. Making
Mm-hmm.
sure you're installing a water filter or using a Brita filter. Getting those filters on
That's a
your
good
water so
idea.
that it's taking out the microplastics. It's doing the best it can to get out the glyphosates and all the other toxins is really important. Using organic bedding and mattress protectors, you really want those chemicals out of those things as much as possible. So the more like good cotton you can do, the organic stuff, the better. Air purifiers in your room. If you have a brand new house, those are built pretty tight these days. Make sure that you're cracking a little bit of a window to get the formaldehyde out. All of the brand new things that you have in your house that make it look so beautiful are off-gassing toxins for 7 to 10 years. So
Oh,
all that new
oh my
flooring, all the
God.
furniture, everything, it off-gasses. It takes
Wow.
a long time. So if you just crack a
Oh,
window
stop
like
it, Greg. You're gonna
half
die
an
soon
inch,
anyway, because you don't believe this.
if you just crack your window a little bit, that will remove the formaldehyde out of the environment so it won't make you sick. So it's really important to look at that environment from that aspect. And then look at your weekly resilience rituals. We want to create rituals, right? So if you're going to do sauna 2 to 3 times a week, it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 10 to 20 minutes. Detox baths, once a week are great. Nervous system resets are really important for us, taking that downtime. And taking time for you. Organize your supplement plan so it's all set out for you so that it's not difficult. One of the things that I do is I set my supplements in these little cups. I don't know if you guys can see them really well, but I set them in these little cups. I keep them on my desk. And so when I see them, it's my reminder like, oh, I've got to take those. And I fill those once a week, and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. Your lymphatic movement, so walking, rebounding, dry brushing, cold showers, that kind of thing, screen-free evenings. We all need to unplug, and we don't unplug enough. So give your screens a rest, put them aside, don't do anything with it. Read an old-fashioned book instead of reading from your Kindle. Do a journal in an actual notebook instead of on your device. All of those things can start to make a difference. Technology has been great for us, but it's also been a challenge and it's created some other problems for us. So we want to get rid of them. So your personalized resilience stack is to build your own, to change your own lifestyle. Do what's important to you, do what can fit into your daily routine. Your lifestyle habit, what is it going to be that you're going to create? What's your detox support going to look like? Pick one nervous system tool that you're going to work with. Pick one home upgrade that you can do a month. And over a period of a year, you've now changed out 12 things. Make it simple and easy. Don't go out and get rid of absolutely everything you've spent thousands of dollars on. Just replace them one at a time as you don't have them anymore and you use them up. Using these small, consistent steps in the long term will make a big change for you, and it won't overwhelm you to do that. I don't know what happened here, but this is a duplicate, so we don't want that. We'll get rid of that. So this is how Serenity can support you. So we can help support you with your detox protocols, help you design them based on your own unique system. We can help restore the damage to the mitochondria. We can find your root cause. We can help you reset the nervous system and certainly do some of those truly restorative programs like ozone and IV therapy, peptides, biologics. We can help you do all of those things when you're ready for them. So you can't control the world, but you can control your resilience. And if you're ready to take the next step, that's great. And if you're not and you don't believe in any of this, that's okay too. Just remember your body's not fragile, it's responsive. So when you support it, it heals. When we don't support it, it breaks down and it becomes ill. And if you're not ready now, you may be ready a month from now or a year from now. Or if you're supporting somebody who's not ready or doesn't understand, give them some grace, but let them know that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep working with this. Or if you're trying to encourage somebody to do this, get it on their time frame. Just continue to share information with them so they can become knowledgeable themselves. And sometimes it just takes a lot of time and a lot of reading for somebody to understand. If they're not in the same place as you are because you've done all the reading before, it might take them a little longer to jump on board with things. But just keep educating, keep sharing, keep being their light, and they'll turn around eventually. And if they don't, that's their journey, and that's okay. You don't have to feel bad about their journey. Everybody has their own journey, their own place to walk in life. And sometimes we can't help everybody, and that's okay. That's not part of their journey for being here on this earth and this planet at this time. So just respect them and go about your own business. Don't make it a stressful event for you. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys tonight, and I will stop sharing my screen.